Good morning. It is 11:14 a.m. on Friday, September 3rd, 2021. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I've more or less just got up. This is 5 more minutes. So, for one, I'm off work today. So, that's, this was, totally allowed. Allowed. Anyway, yeah, so the plan, though, was it's not like I overslept when I was trying to get up earlier or anything. But I did sleep longer than I expected. Um, but, there you have it. My big thing is that yesterday I went to see Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Actually, I'm not sure if there's an "and" the in there. It might just be Shang-Chi Legend of the Ten Rings. I'm not looking at the poster right now or anything like that. But it is, of course, the latest of the Marvel movies, the MCU. And I liked it a lot. I'm not going to spoil it here. I'm going to do my best to give you a thorough, spoiler-free review. The short capsule is that I liked it a lot. I think, when you have this many different pieces of the overall MCU tapestry, you sometimes need to let things settle a little bit before you can really, rank them. And I'm also not someone who, I don't know, I'm not someone who really spends a lot of mental energy on trying to decide whether this chapter is better than that chapter, or this episode's better than that episode, or this season, or whatever. I just don't find a lot of personal value in ranking things in that way. And so I'm not going to try to rank this movie in terms of the others, but what I will say is I liked it a lot. There were not any points during the movie where I was thinking, I don't know about this. Although, what I'll also say, for fairness, is that, honestly, that doesn't happen very much. Part of that, I think, is that I tend to research movies before I see them, and so I just don't go to see movies that I expect to not enjoy. And I have a pretty good track record. I am also, in some respects, easy to please on these sorts of things. I'm not picky when I go to the movies. I just get into them. I have a good time. But which is not to say I like everything. But in any case, I like it a lot. I will say it starts slower, which I don't say as a criticism, like I was feeling like, oh, I don't know, this is starting really slow, as much as I realized kind of like, oh, okay, we're doing this, all right. And then it just kept building and kept building and building and building. And so I think slower's the wrong way to put it. The way to put it, I think, is better is that it feels smaller to start. And then it gets bigger and bigger. And certainly, one of the things that I tweeted about it last night is that it makes me think about the superhero movies that people praise for being grounded and realistic. And, that's allowed. And I can certainly enjoy those movies. But I will say that if someone pins their opinion of a movie based on how grounded and realistic it is, this one gets pretty out there. I would say in terms of the scope and the bigness and craziness of the finale, I would say it's more on par with, say, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 than it is with, say, Black Widow, right? Or Winter Soldier or something like that. It gets, there's a lot of stuff in it by the end. And it's, in some ways, kind of like with Guardians of the Galaxy and with Doctor Strange, in the sense that those movies kind of introduce some new elements and new mythology to the MCU. I guess Thor did that too. It does that kind of thing, and I really liked it. But I can imagine that if there are some party poopers out there who just want everyone to stay on Earth and only fight humans and it might as well not have superpowers either, or be based on comic books. I mean, I shouldn't be so just judgmental about that sort of thing. People like what they like, but I will say this movie is not like that. I did like it a lot, though, but I find it utterly unsurprising that the MCU formula meshes well with kind of, like kung fu movies and other sort of martial arts wuxia sort of stories. And, I think it makes perfect sense that those things would go well together, and they certainly do here. I think Simu Liu is great lead. I love him in the role. I'm excited to see him more. There's some good cameos, as you might expect. Aquafina, I have enjoyed her in lots of things, and she delivers here. I think at the beginning it feels like her character is going to be just, along for comic relief or something, but she does end up being more than that. And yeah, I liked it a lot, so I recommend it. I mean, if you're a fan for the MCU, let's not pretend you're not going to watch the next movie, right? But I think you'll be pleased when you do. I did go see it in the theater, and it was a theater that I don't know. I mean, it was a relatively big, big screen, big auditorium, and it was a sold out show. I didn't check that it was every single seat, but it was more or less full is the point. But it was masks required, and generally, and people were cooperating with that. But of course, it's like you can take your mask off when you're eating. And so, but I mean, I had my mask on most of the time, and I looked around, and so did most other people. And so I think people are taking that seriously, at least here. Can't speak for everywhere in the country, but so there is a little bit of an element of like, is that okay going out in the public like that? But I really like seeing movies in the theater. I missed it. That was, I think, probably when I think about like the pandemic time when everyone was locked down. Like honestly, I think that was the thing I missed the most. And so, to me, there's a little bit of an element of risk, but I felt like for me it's worth it. I love seeing things on the big screen, and so I did. And I was glad I did last night. And then when I got home, I was feeling pretty good and of how I didn't have to work the next day. So I had some tequila and drank and watched more of the Owl House and had a great evening. And then felt like I needed to sleep in until 11 a.m. apparently. So now you've been caught up and you're with me in the current moment where I'm sitting here talking about what I did yesterday, and now you're really fully present with me in the moment where I say, I'm going to leave it there and talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.